Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you're a focused learner looking for some really direct, genuinely actionable ways to master spoken English, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking on a massive mission. We are going to completely revolutionize how you approach language learning by turning artificial intelligence into your own 24/7 personal coach. Our goal here? To help you finally conquer that fear of speaking and build real, spontaneous English fluency. Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our agenda for today. We'll be going through the fluency freeze, your private batting cage, high-stakes interview role plays, the 20-minute daily schedule, and we'll wrap it all up with the shadowing technique. All right, let's get started. Section 1. The fluency freeze. Why exactly do words just vanish in real time? Have you ever been right in the middle of a conversation with a native speaker and just frozen mid-sentence? It's like you're shoved into the deep end of a freezing pool. You might have studied the textbook for the absolute perfect butterfly stroke, but once you're in the water, you panic. The words are in your head somewhere, right? But the door is completely locked. It is incredibly frustrating. But here's the most important thing you need to know today. This is not a memory issue. You haven't forgotten the vocabulary. What you're experiencing is a literal chemical block, and it's triggered by the fear of judgment. So let's break down the actual science here. Linguists call this the affective filter. Basically, when you're anxious about sounding foolish, your brain's amygdala triggers a stress response. Your cortisol levels spike, and that stress physically and chemically blocks access to the exact language centers in your brain where your vocabulary is stored. It's like your brain's security system just shuts down all retrieval. True fluency requires quick, effortless retrieval. And anxiety? Well, anxiety is the absolute enemy of that process. Section 2. Your private batting cage. A completely judgment-free zone. To bypass the chemical block we just talked about, we have to remove the audience entirely. But you don't want to just open up an AI app and blindly start talking. You want to use this exact highly specific prompt. Correct my English like a friendly teacher and explain my mistakes simply. By using this specific phrasing, you're actively manipulating the AI's algorithm. Instead of it spitting back some dense academic jargon about dangling modifiers, because let's be honest, nobody wants to read that, you actually force the AI to deliver natural, supportive, and actionable feedback. Now, once you're safely in that batting cage, it's time to upgrade your operating system. Saying, I like the city is, perfectly fine, but it's pretty basic. You need to instruct the AI to give you fluent upgrades. Something more like, I prefer living in the city because it offers more career opportunities and convenience. Notice how that advanced version uses a comparative verb, prefer, and then immediately anchors that preference to supporting reasons using the word because. Asking the AI for these specific upgrades actively trains your brain in much higher level cognitive processing. Section 3. High-stakes interview role plays. Think of this as your dress rehearsal. Eventually, you gotta leave the batting cage and play the actual game. So here is exactly how you set up a high-stress simulation, like a high-stakes job interview. Step 1. Instruct the AI to act as a hiring manager. Step 2. Tell it to ask you interview questions, but one by one. And step 3, and this is absolutely critical, command the AI to wait for your response. Having to wait for your spoken response forces you right into fast thinking mode. Real conversations don't have scripts, And this specific simulation trains your brain to react dynamically. Now, as we all know, real humans are messy. To prepare for that reality, you need to introduce some chaos into your practice. First up, practice emotional English. Human communication isn't just robotic data exchange. It's about expressing joy or frustration or telling someone you feel incredibly overwhelmed. Next, you want to create conversational friction. Command the bot to answer like a native English speaker. This makes it use idioms, phrasal verbs, and that messy, unpredictable pacing native speakers have. Finally, throw in the debate prompt. Tell the AI to strongly disagree with your logic. When that bot pushes back on you, you're forced to defend your ideas entirely spontaneously. And man, that builds incredible critical thinking skills. And as you're running through these intense role plays, you're going to bump into new words, which brilliantly illustrates a core rule of our entire blueprint. Never, ever memorize random vocabulary words from a list. Look, trying to learn English from a dictionary is literally like trying to learn how to drive a car by sitting in your bedroom reading the owner's manual. The manual means nothing without the physical context of the road, the rain hitting the windshield, the traffic cutting you off. You must always acquire new vocabulary within a conversational context. That's how you permanently anchor the word, its real meaning, and an example sentence all together in your brain. Section 4. The 20-minute daily schedule. Because consistency absolutely always beats intensity. All these cool strategies mean absolutely nothing without some sweat equity. So we're splitting your day into 2 highly focused blocks, a morning session for just 10 minutes and an evening session for 10 minutes. Doing this really focused 20-minute daily repetition will rewire your brain's neural pathways so much better than a frantic 3-hour cram session on a random Sunday afternoon. Let's look at the morning activation step. Look, you might think standing in your kitchen at 7 a.m. making small talk with an AI app on your phone is a little absurd. But you aren't trying to have a profound philosophical breakthrough before breakfast. You are simply doing cognitive activation. By vocalizing in English the very moment you wake up, you establish a mental baseline for the day. You are intentionally waking up the English processing centers of your brain. You're actively priming the neural pump. Then, we've got the evening reinforcement session. For these 10 minutes, you're making the language completely relevant to your actual, real life. Have the AI correct an email you wrote earlier that day. Or, hey, if you had an awful, frustrating commute, ask the AI to teach you the most natural phrases specifically to describe a frustrating commute. By anchoring this new vocabulary right to the personal context of your own day, your brain builds permanent neural connections. Section 5. The shadowing technique. Building that all-important muscle memory. This brings us to the final and honestly, perhaps the most uncomfortable rule of this whole blueprint. Here's the absolute, non-negotiable physical rule. You must speak out loud. During your 20-minute sessions, silent reading is the single biggest trap you can fall into. When you read silently, you're only firing the visual and comprehension centers of your brain. You're completely bypass the motor cortex. Speaking is a complex physical act. It involves your diaphragm, your vocal cords, your tongue, your lips. You cannot just think your way to fluency. You absolutely must physically speak your way there. To build that muscle memory, we heavily emphasize the shadowing technique. First, You listen to the AI's audio response. Second, you repeat it out loud immediately. You're almost speaking over the AI. And third, you actively mimic the rhythm, the micro pauses, and the intonation. You are training yourself to capture the true music of the English language. And yes, you have to do this even when you were completely drained after a long day at 10:30 at night, because a tired, stumbling spoken response builds massively more fluency than a perfect, totally silent reading session. Finally, doing this daily speaking actually smashes what we call the translation bottleneck. You know, that exhausting process of constantly translating everything in your head before you actually speak. You need to do daily thinking exercises out loud. Just describe the objects sitting right there in your living room. Talk about your weekend plans. The goal here is to map the real world directly to your English vocabulary. You look at a lamp and you retrieve the English word lamp directly. You completely bypass your native language. You are building a direct highway and totally destroying the toll booth. We've covered a ton of ground today. Take a quick second right now and visualize your absolute most terrifying English conversation. Maybe it's a massive presentation at work, a high-stakes job interview, or honestly, just chatting with a native speaker at a party without completely freezing up. You can probably feel that affective filter going up just thinking about it. Now, ask yourself, what if just 20 minutes a day, just 20 minutes, swinging away in your private batting cage where literally nobody can judge you, is the only thing standing between your current fear and actual effortless fluency? You don't have to just sit on the edge of the pool forever. The water's fine. It's time to jump in.